What is going on, guys? My name is Feeds, and welcome to Feeds Mindset, episode number 14 with Eliza. Eliza, how are you? Welcome in.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. We was just talking about before you started this episode. You said 14 was your favorite number?
Yes, my favorite lucky number.
That is crazy. That's crazy. And I've had the reason why I bring that up, and I told you this too. I just had Ronnie on the podcast, literally last episode, and he had said the same thing, that 13 was his favorite number. So that's pretty crazy. So Eliza, I definitely, me and you are friends. I want to establish this right at the gate for anybody that doesn't know us. Me and you have known each other for a good while. I would say probably close to 2 years at least. I remember us even playing Blood Hunt together, that vampire game.
Gosh.
Even down that road, man. Like we've been together for a good while, and it's sick to see the way that you prospered and transpired across your socials and as a creator. But I'm obviously ecstatic to be able to not only get to know more about you, but share it with the community and my community, and even just random people watching. So I do want to get into who you are and where you came from and stuff. But before all that, I kind of want to set the tone and give an idea for anybody new watching or part of your community. Who is Eliza? Who would you say you are as like a current day?
As a current day, I'm just a tiny little streamer who's known for drinking way too much Dr. Pepper and has an insane husky. That's basically me in a nutshell.
And your dog, I mean, she's beautiful, and Paris is her name. Did that just kind of like come just out the blue, or was there like a story behind that?
Paris was given to her when she was adopted. She was adopted from one of those little puppy stores, but her middle name's Jet, which comes from Valorant because she is speedy.
Yeah, I see. And you don't see her right now on the podcast, but like right before we started this up, she was making Ellie like bash all over her dang chair.
She's
crazy.
The star of the show.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And that's the last topic I wanted to talk about before we actually kind of get started on the podcast of Valorant. Would you say that your mainstream game is Valorant?
Absolutely, yeah.
Definitely. So, was there a game that you had kind of played before Valorant kind of took over your content creation?
Yeah, actually, I mainly played Splitgate.
Really?
Yeah, Splitgate was the main game.
Yeah. Now, I remember when there was a lot of hot topic around Splitgate. It was cool. Like a weekend, it was cool. I got really, really, really bored of it. It sucks. It definitely is a game that, with all due respect, because I know it's a game you enjoyed, but it did kind of fall off, unfortunately.
No, it absolutely did fall off, and it took me way too long to learn Portals.
That's crazy, though, that was a mainstream game for you. I mean, how did you just, because it was free one day and you just downloaded it, thought it was cool, and then you just liked it, or what?
I watched a lot of streamers for a while, and one of my favorite streamers was playing a lot of Splitgate at the time, and then I got on a PC and I was like, I've been wanting to play this game because he played it, and I loved it, and then I just kind of moved forward from there.
Yeah, so how did Valorant transpire into that kind of art?
Oh my god, I was so nervous to play Valorant because I was like, first time mouse and keyboard, like I never really played any video games really before. And so I remember telling my friends who were like letting me use their computer and like stream and stuff. I was like, I'm so scared to play Valorant, and they're like, just freaking do it. And I'm like, and so it kind of, I mean, now I'd rather die than not play Valorant.
Yeah. No, I mean, Valorant is 100% your mainstream game, but I think, there's obviously times, I mean, even myself, where we rage a lot at the game and deal with, crappy teammates and stuff. And I want to get into, that type of topic here a little bit later in the podcast. But Valorant is a really sick game, I think. The only thing, I feel like Valorant in general is kind of like how Rust was to me, playing Rust. I loved Rust. It was an amazing game. I was just always solo, and like I have like over 2,000 hours on that game. And I think when I was like around like the 700-800 hour mark of playing it, that's when like my friends like slowly kind of like I didn't really play with them anymore. And I withstood it for like almost 1,000 hours playing solo and solo servers or duo servers by myself or whatever. But just eventually it just ended up being like really annoying because I didn't have nobody to back me up, had nobody to talk to. I would record videos and then I would get, all this hard work that I put hours in, I would get raided by 3-4 men and it just everything would go down the drain because I just had nobody else to rely on. And so, Valorant is still kind of the same way. I mean, it does kind of deteriorate you playing solo for so long. I think, Valorant is kind of the normalized game for solo queuing. I feel like Valorant is like the biased game where everybody uses it as an example to be like, oh, like you haven't experienced pain until you solo queue in Valorant.
Right.
Like I feel like that's kind of came to be. Do you solo queue in Valorant a lot, or do you usually have some friends?
I usually have some friends, but let's be real. Sometimes it's just not meant to be, and I'll just be like, you know what, guys, like I'm out. I gotta solo queue for a second. Let me get my RR up, and I'll be back.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand it. So yeah, so there's a lot of cool topics that I want to get into with Valorant and kind of that side of things and your experiences. But let's go ahead and travel back and kind of get an idea of where Elie came before. Not really like the streaming per se and how you got into creators that helped you along the way, but just like gaming in general. I mean, was it an escape? Was it something you tapped into? Have you always been gaming for a while? I mean, how did all that pan out?
Gaming was definitely a distraction. Um, I had been in a long-term relationship and actually had like gotten out of it, and I moved in with. I got a weird story. I moved
You're
in
good.
with some random girl that I met at a bar one night. It's
Wow.
Vegas, people. It
Hmm.
happens. And we followed each other on Instagram, and she saw some of the sad stuff I was posting on my story, and she's like, "Hey, if you need anything, I got you." And I was like, "Actually, I need a bedroom, so
I
if you
need a
got that,
room.
I need a
That's
room."
crazy.
And so, moving in with her, I spent a lot of time by myself, trying to find myself, and I spent a lot of time on Twitch by doing
Mm.
so. And so then that kind of sparked like, oh, like maybe I want to do some sort of like content creation. Like I have all the time in the world right now. Um and it just kind of sparked. And I started as a creator, I started streaming from my MacBook and watching React videos from YouTube of like not even React videos, but like Vines and like
Yeah.
YouTube videos at the time that it was just me laughing. And I mean, it was fun. But I mean, as a person, I've kind of been around. Um, I used to do photography and kind of stopped doing that because it became too much of a job.
Hmm.
It became less fun. But I've traveled the country, most of the country, probably like close to 40 states by the
Wow.
time I was 19. So
Nice.
I'm here.
Yeah. No, I mean that's crazy. I mean that's a really insane story. I mean that is 100% a unique story that you definitely don't hear at all. Being able to move in with somebody random. I mean, shout out to her. However it transpired in the future. I mean, still at that point in time, that's a crazy experience, and the fact that she was able to do that for you again, like I said, regardless of how that turned out, is insane. Just to be able to have an opportunity like that, especially, I mean, you said in Vegas, so I mean, I feel like that's that's a crazy place to even have that story. Not like the whole like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas bullshit. Like just the fact that it's such like a highly trafficked like area. There's a
Mhm.
lot of people, housing and stuff is through the roof and all that. And to find a room, in that type of environment is crazy alone, I feel like.
No, it was very weird, but for some reason my heart was like, there's nothing wrong here, like you got this. I mean, it went well, so
Yeah. Oh, I mean that's cool. I mean that's ecstatic. So when you had got on your MacBook, you was checking out some videos and stuff. How did it start transpiring into you being like, okay, you just woke up one day and you just decided to be a streamer? You decided to, was it Twitch? Was it Mixer? Was it Facebook? I mean, how did you get into streaming and how did that start being normalized to you?
I met someone who had a PC that they weren't using. And so basically it started from there. And I had mentioned, like, oh, I wanted to start streaming and yada, yada, yada. And
Mm-hmm.
they were like, oh, well, I have a computer that I'm not really using if you would like to use it. And I mean, it was a full works. It was like $4,000 or $5,000 worth of,
Wow.
I'm like, You just got this sitting around?
Yeah.
Like, what is this? Like, you just don't use it? Is insane. And so I would just stream hours and hours on end. And I mean, that's kind of where we're still at this point now.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, was it when you had started streaming, I mean, was it like an escape? Like, did you have a job at the time and then you just come home and just constantly stream until it was time for bed, or was you just streaming every day to just try to figure out what's coming next?
No, for when I was doing the vines and things, I don't recall having a job.
Yeah. I'm fucking up here.
um
I
I
got you.
don't recall having a job, but I mean, when I started actually playing mouse and keyboard, I was working at Starbucks.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
I mean, I had hours, but I had more time to just play video games, so.
Gotcha. So I'm assuming, when all that first transpired and stuff, I mean, you obviously had to have, big motivation to be able to, once you got into gaming and learning that some exotic setup was just collecting dust. I mean, that's obviously insane. I feel like for a gamer to hear that, that's like very offensive, like you don't, it's kind of like, I feel like that story to gamers is like seeing like a puppy or like a cat get abused and be like, you don't deserve him, It's like,
Exactly.
I feel like
No,
that's
it
what
was
PCs
literal
are.
pain.
Yeah,
It was
definitely.
pain.
So, I mean, that's absolutely insane. And so you had got into Twitch. Did you make any connections? Is there like anybody that you want to shout out that's really kind of like helped your experience as a streamer to kind of get you common knowledge of like what this space is about?
Yeah, two people. Shout out to two people for putting me on. Vostik. I don't know if anyone knows Vostik, but
Okay.
he's the man. He's the man. He's been there since day one. He's helped me out with all sorts of information I need to know. And he's the streamer I watched that made me want to stream. And two, one of my first ever followers who's still around, which is crazy. My man, Ant-Man G. Let me just say that. He the best.
Big old Ant Man. I remember seeing him around time to time. I don't think I've met Voss, unfortunately, but yeah, that's sick. So they kind of help mold you to kind of be the creator you are today.
Oh, like, yeah, absolutely. Ant-Man will still pop up in the Discord every now and then, and he'll talk in his girl voice, which is insanely impressive, by the way. He'll just enter the voice channel, and he's like, "Hi, guys." And I'm like, I didn't know I had other girls in here. What's going on?
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean that's insane. I mean it's crazy. I was just talking to Ronnie about this last episode, last night when had recorded our other one, and it's just you don't know the kind of impact as a creator that you're going to make. I mean, it's a topic that like I feel like some people would roll their eyes about and they're like, well, obviously, but I don't feel like it's talked about enough. I feel like that does wrap around like mental health because I mean, there's lifelong friends. I mean, just like with you and your story and Voss and Ant-Man, I mean, those are probably just two people that was probably just helping a homie out, building a new friend, and it transpired into a long, living relationship to where you still tap into them to this day. And it's absolutely crazy, the kind of impact that you can make as a creator. And so yeah, I mean, that's sick. I mean, you had got into gaming, somehow you got into Shitgate and eventually got out of it and started playing Valorant. And so now you're playing Valorant and you're streaming and you're making these connections and you're getting an idea about it. So how did Eliza become your branding? Where did Eliza stem from, and how did it become the one that you wanted to be known for in this space?
I've gone by a lot of names before. As a photographer, I went by Eliza Brittany, which Elizabeth is my middle name, Brittany is my legal name. We don't talk about it.
Yeah.
But at one point I was Eliza Zilly, which was basically just Eliza and then Eliza backwards.
Yeah.
But no one could say it. So when we started switching up the layout of stream and stuff is kind of when I was like, I'm changing colors, I'm changing layouts, I need to change the name because I can't. No one can say it. And I mean, people can't say it still nowadays, but just drop the last Z off and you're good. It's kind of said how it's spelled. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's sick. How did you feel as as a creator, I mean, was there a point in time where, like, you streaming, you was posting out content, now you're starting to build this community? I mean, was there a day or a time that you remember where you woke up and you was like, wow, like, this is really Eliezuhz, like, this is who I am, like, I built this? Was like, did you ever find like that type of motivation?
It was actually really recent.
Really?
It was really recent where I was like, hold on, wait. Like, I didn't expect my community to become this awesome. Because at first it was just like, I'm streaming to stream and whatever happens, happens. And now
Mm-hmm.
I've unknowingly created an LGBTQIA
Mm-hmm. Right.
community that I didn't even know about until like the last 3 weeks. Streaming and chatting with everyone, I was learning all kinds of things about them. And I'm like, oh, like a lot of these people are LGBTQ plus, and I
Mm-hmm.
had absolutely no idea. And so it's like trying to figure out like where to go from there and like to make everybody comfortable, because I'm very raw. I'm very just like whatever happens happens, sometimes I rage, sometimes I'll cry. Um And it wasn't until the last 2 or 3 weeks where I woke up and I was like, okay, this is awesome. I love everybody here. And, like wanting to bust out more like TikTok and YouTube content, maybe even because I've kind of just stopped doing that in a sense altogether.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's sick. I mean, it's like I said, I mean, it kind of travels back. I'm not really going to repeat myself, but just the impact that you make as a creator. I mean, there's so many individuals out there that's either, not, I feel like a big misunderstanding in this community is a lot of people are thinking that they're looking for idols and people to look up to. And, nobody, especially, I mean, with that community, that you had just mentioned and stuff, I mean, they're all wonderful people and they're all kind of looking for that newfound friendship. And it's kind of like, regardless of everything that's happened the past couple of years, it's what gaming's have always been, and just not feeling comfortable to talk about who you are or what you're from or what you do or what you identify as. I mean, it's just people not being able to feel comfortable to say those things. And I feel like there's a lot of people that misinterpret it, because the moment they get somebody like that and they start explaining their issues, they're like, I feel like there's a lot of creators that's like, oh, they're looking for me to be the voice. And it's like, no, they're just looking for you to listen. And I feel like that's not normalized enough. There's not a lot of creators like that, or just in general, regardless, whatever you do or whoever you are, there's a lot of people that want to be heard and they don't have nobody to talk to. And it's not the fact that they don't have nobody to talk to, it's the fact that they're not comfortable enough to find somebody to share that information with. And I feel like it's not talked about enough. And it deals with burnouts and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the next question that I want to get onto here on this podcast. It's something I ask everybody, and just kind of have your take. I mean, was there a time that you got burned out, with streaming or your content creation? I mean, how did you mold your mindset to kind of get Eliezuhz back up to where she was and, find that, motivation to be who you've always been?
I'm not sure I've really witnessed like a burnout.
Hmm.
Um there's been times where I've definitely just been like, maybe I do need to just take a step back. And that's just because of things outside of the streaming
Hmm.
community. But with content itself, I don't think I've witnessed that fully yet. I
Okay.
hope I
Well, I mean,
don't.
that's good. That's a good thing. I mean, usually everybody has the opposite answer. So, do you have advice to people that are, maybe they're going through like a small bit of depression, or they are like a little bit burnt out? I mean, what is kind of things that you do to make sure that you don't get caught up in the moment and not get all in your thoughts and thinking I could be better and everything stinks right now? Like, do you have advice on that for other creators?
Um I think the biggest thing is really to just don't compare yourself. Obviously, I think that's the biggest thing is don't be comparing yourself to other creators. And to whether you're streaming or you're not, do what you want. It's your place. If you want to play a game and someone in your community wants you to play something else, play what you want to play.
Yeah.
Or make it a thing to where you'd be like, okay, well, I want to play this game today, but we can play your game, on another day, or even off stream, like, it whatever tends to work. But even outside of streaming in general, so when it comes to life, like if you're just beat and everything's kind of affecting you, honestly, I just do simple stuff, but I'm a simple woman. So like if getting a coffee is going to make me happy, then I'm going to go get a coffee or boba or chicken strips, like whatever it is. I mean, at the end of the day, you're taking care of yourself in either aspect. So
Yeah, no, I mean, 100%. I fully agree. I think that is wonderful advice, and I think that's a good specific way to look about it. For the other thing that you had mentioned, of just going out and just doing something small for yourself. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, everybody has that, especially if you don't live close anywheres. Everybody has that mindset, like, oh, like I really want to go and get a cheeseburger, but it's like it's 15 minutes away or whatever. But it's like truly, like if you are just so caught up in the moment and you're bored of everything and you don't know what to do and you're getting in your feelings and stuff, like that road trip can help you just with yourself, by yourself on the road, just driving, going here and back. I mean, that can be, the biggest mental reset that you need to just kind of get out of your thoughts, get out of the house, stop looking at the same four walls just for a little bit and, recollect yourself. And then when you come back, eat, fill up, have your normal poop for the day, whatever, and then start streaming and get back into it. And I feel like that's definitely something that people don't normalize. I think that's a good topic to bring up. There's a lot of creators and a lot of people that don't treat themselves, and I feel like everybody gets caught up in being like, well, so and so has been grinding nonstop for months and months and months, and he never takes a second for himself, so why should I? So I feel like that is a very important way to look at it.
Absolutely. As well as like even if you are live with your community, like, and you're not feeling it, like it's never wrong to just end. Like if you're not having the best day, like it really is all about taking care of yourself. I know that you might be disappointing people who are wanting to spend time with you, but I mean, if you're not feeling it, you're not creating a good environment for everyone else. Everyone else is going to be cranky that you're cranky. So
Yeah. No, I mean 100%. I mean, I fully agree, and I've said this on the podcast quite a couple of times, and you I think you've actually experienced some of this, like with my personal streaming. I mean, there's been times where I'll stream for like 20, 30 minutes, and I'll just look at the camera, and I'll be like, hey, like I'm not who I want to be, like I'm raging. This is clearly not good content and I don't want you to watch this. And I feel like there's a lot of people that don't have that self-discipline to be like to stop themselves. I mean, when you're complaining a lot, everything's pissing you off. Even a new chatter comes in, you can't even give them the time of day. You're just like, oh, hey, how's your day or whatever. And like, that's not an experience that you want to create, especially for a community that you're building. So, on that topic of something a little bit earlier that you had said about, building a community, not being able to play certain games with them. Oh, I'm playing this game today, or oh, like I'm playing COD. I don't really want to get off of it. Maybe off stream. What would you kind of give advice to creators that have a mainstream game? Because I feel like you're kind of a part of this advice because you do mainstream Valorant. But let's say that you were getting burnt out of Valorant, but you don't want to stop streaming Valorant because that's where your community is built from. I mean, do you have advice that you would give for people that want to, expand their horizons and get into variety streams, but they feel that they're so like stuck into one game that they can't leave it or they'll lose what they built?
I think it's kind of difficult because I understand like wanting to keep playing on the game that has potentially grown your community. But it's not always fun to be the one watching and being like, okay, well, they're not having the best time.
Yeah.
So I feel like having it, it's so hard to go about that because for me, I do have other games that I do play if I'm too upset. Like I have my little Disney Dreamlight Valley that I'll play. That'll calm me down, and kind of very repetitive of a game, but I like the colors and I like the characters. So I feel like even though you think that you're gonna be pushing people away from your main category, I feel like having something that you can fall back on, even if it is just for an hour to calm down and get back into your main game, is always crucial because I don't think you're going to be scaring anyone away.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a good way to look at it.
They're there for you, essentially, and in the most part. I mean, yeah, like watching your main game is probably what most of the communities would enjoy, but I don't think most people would mind. Maybe that's just me, but I don't think most people would mind if you dropped off and played a different game for an hour or two.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
No, I mean, I definitely understand. I mean, I kind of share the same opinion. I mean, the only clause that I would have in that, and I kind of feel like it's like a no escape for creators, is people that are built off of like solely skill. Like that's the reason they tap in, because they know that they're the best at that game. Like then it gets really tough to like give advice. But I think what you a little bit of what you had said earlier, before he's trying to think about, more advice and stuff, is, that creator that is watching you clearly knows that you're not having a genuine and fun time. And I feel like that is kind of something that, as creators, that we don't think about. We tend to think about like, oh, like this isn't fun. Like, oh, I'm bored as shit. Oh, like everything, like no game's fun or whatever. And I feel like there are some creators that don't see the other side of the story, which is the community that's building them. And like, do they think that I'm funny? Like, yeah, like I'm burnt out and stuff, but do they feel that I'm burnt out, or is it just me because I'm just not enjoying it? And most of the time it usually is like the other side of the screen that's watching you can clearly tell that you're not happy. And I feel like that is the bigger picture to normalize, to be able to understand like, hey, like clearly I'm not having fun on this game, but not only am I not having fun at this game, but I'm clearly causing a disruption in my community because they're seeing me pissed and aggressive and, just not who I usually am. And that kind of tends to ripple it. And it goes back into the same conversation, just like I said, when I'll end my streams if I'm not feeling it. I mean, if you have a new creator that comes into your stream, has no idea who you are, that's their very first impression. And you don't want to ruin that. So I do kind of, it is opinionative, and everybody's always going to see that different ways. But I would share the same advice. It'd be, if whoever is there are there for you, anybody that leaves because you switch games is probably not a good idea to have in your community anyways, because those are not going to be the people that you can DM, excuse me, when you have things going wrong. Those are not the people that's going to want to hear about your day. They're not the type of people that's going to want to know how you're doing, how things are going, how streams have been, how content's going. Like those people solely only care seeing you shit on people, just for their pure entertainment, so they can sit down and eat a little bit and go back to their day, which is all good and well. We do that in entertainment every single day. Everybody sits down and watches streams and stuff. But there's a big difference between a pastime streamer and a connection with the streamer. And I feel like that is something that definitely people don't talk about. A lot of people use streamers and creators and what they do as just like a pass by, to pass by the time. They're waiting on an email. They're waiting for work to get closer. They don't feel like doing nothing. They just want to watch you before bed. And like I said, nothing is wrong with that. But if you're afraid of hurting those opinions, the same people that you're worried about their opinions are the same ones you're not going to see tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I think that's definitely a very big point and a very big topic. So we've gotten to know a little bit more inside the head of of Eliza and what goes on in your world and how you've came to be. So fast forward to now, obviously we did talk about Valorant kind of being your mainstream game. I mean, has Valorant kind of changed your mindset, like learning? Because I guess this is what I want to say. I'm trying to find like a way to dictate it so you're not confused. Valorant is way different than COD because it's not as toxic, but it's a lot more time consuming, because the moment you get that one lobby of that one shitter or that dude that, bashes women or says racist things or whatever, like you have to deal with him the whole way through. And Valorant is a game, if you're in ranked in COD, a little bit different because you can just team kill each other. But like if you're just playing like a normal game of COD, it's like 5-10 minutes is over. I think something that a lot of people don't wrap their heads around in Valorant is just because you mute somebody in Valorant, they can still find ways to take advantage of you. They can flash you, they can hurt you with their abilities, they can constantly walk in front of you, they can try to trap you in corners. I mean, so on your outlook, especially like I said, I don't like phrasing it like this, but it's the world we live in for women creators. How has your take on that? Because Valorant is a lot more of a game that's more dependent on your reaction.
Still get crappy Valorant lobbies. Not even a few days ago, I had someone straight up say something about gay people that and I was playing with my friends who are a part of my LGBT
Yeah.
community, and it made me so angry. I was literally crying on stream. Like, it made me so
Mm.
angry. I was like, guys, it's 2023, and the fact that
Yeah.
we still voice our opinions that are controversial makes me so angry. Like, there's no need to say those things out loud. You can think that and you can live by that, but I don't want to hear it. And I understand, like, him being upset and being like, well, freedom of speech. Okay, well, freedom of speech out of here, because like I don't want to hear
Mm-hmm.
it. And it is what it is, but it's just like, I think that, I mean, I'm just a better human, and I just know when not to speak about things.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I mean, Valorant for me, I don't really get those kind of lobbies far too often. Like, most of the time it'll just be some guy being like, "You're a shitter.
Yeah.
I'm better than you. I peek
Mm-hmm.
your," like, I'm like, "Okay, buddy." But there's some things in any game really that you just can't fully avoid, and you just kind of have to be the bigger person. And like, I feel like in that instance I did what I could, and I stood up not only for my friends, but um I was really embarrassed in general, because the fact that I had to come across this person who was being just so ugly about things that were unnecessarily, um that I don't even know how was brought up. It just kind of broke my heart that that's still part of the world.
Yeah. 100%. No, I mean, I definitely agree. It's absolutely disgusting, and it kind of goes back to what we was talking about a little bit right before this podcast. Like, I try to word things the best way that I can, especially when I'm talking about women creators, because like I said, I don't live that life. I don't know about it, and I don't want to just come off and seem as another guy that is preying on their downfall or whatever. Like, I truly want the best for them, and I want them to be heard, and that's why specifically with Valorant, that's why I wanted to touch base on that topic, because like I said, it's an abnormal game, because it's not just a couple minutes and then you're over with it. I mean, it could go over an hour depending on overtime and if you're in comp and all that kind of stuff. And so, I feel like Valorant has done a decent job at like reporting people and stuff, but I know that a lot of people will say, well, there's no reason for Valorant to do anything else because it's an old game, or every game's going to have those same people and stuff. But I feel like that is a big topic with Valorant, is because you deal with it for so long. It's one of the only games that I can think of off the top of my head where you have to deal with it for a good while and still play your game and try to rank up and try to win the game. So do you wish that Valorant kind of did more, like had like a skip vote for certain players, or if 4 out of 5 players wanted to ban this guy, it would end the match? I mean, do you wish that they would kind of do that for Valorant creators?
Oh my god, that would be genius. Like, just draw the match or something and get me out of this shitter's lobby. Like, holy please.
Yeah.
I would love that, because I feel like with Valorant they don't have enough like Overwatch when it comes to, per se, like AFKs.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, just because someone's sitting there and they're hitting A and D doesn't mean they're playing the game. Like, they're
Yeah.
still in spawn with the classic, and there's like,
Yeah. No, I mean,
they're
even
throwing my elo,
yeah,
and
like even
you
like
guys can't
remakes
catch
and
it.
stuff. Yeah, like
Yeah.
even with remakes, I mean, when somebody's AFK at the first beginning of the rounds, like Valorant specifically takes no action. You actually have to type in the chat /remake, and it's not the fact that you have to do it; it's the fact that you have to remember it. Valorant doesn't remind you.
You can only
Yeah.
do it round 2.
Yeah, and like Valorant doesn't remind you that, hey, this person's AFK, don't forget to do this. They don't say none of that. You just have to remember it, and then if you do it, great, and then if not. And the reason why I wanted to bring up that idea and your opinion on if you thought that would be good is for the whole, like when you're in comp, 5 out of 5 people have to vote that they're done with this game. And almost every time, there's always one person, at least.
It's usually
And
me.
so,
I
yeah.
usually say, "No, we're playing this out. What are you
Yeah.
talking
But
about?"
when you're in a game like that, and let's say you're with 3 or 4 of your friends, and all of them agree except for that one toxic guy or woman, there's a couple women out there that are, toxic and stuff. Do you wish that they would implement something like that to kind of hoop over that person, to kind of like at that point in time say their opinion doesn't matter? Like.
Yeah, but I think that's not something that could ever. I'm not sure how that would even
Yeah.
go about, but I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, that would be lovely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it stinks, like I said, and that's kind of the biggest thing is there's a lot of people that don't know nothing about Valorant. So hearing about dealing with a certain circumstance or certain, they're like, oh, like COD has that all the time and stuff. And so, but one of the last topics that I usually ask, specifically for women creators, on the topic of burnouts and trying to find communities and collaborating with people and stuff. There's a lot of women in this community that are trying to looking for their next friend, finding a safe space, being able to talk to somebody, even just asking for help with stream settings and stuff. I mean, what is your advice for specifically women creators that are afraid of getting into those lobbies, dealing with those things, having problems on stream, dealing with weirdos on stream, affecting your livelihood? I mean, how do you get past that, and what's your advice to them to be able to click that start stream and be the creator that they want to be?
Um, I don't know because everyone is different. For
Hmm.
me, it's just like I'm here to be me, and if you don't like it, you can leave.
Yeah.
And I think everyone I know kind of knows that. Like, even if I'm raging, even if I'm raging, I'll like take a lap and I'll come back and I'll be like, all right, or I'll pop some music on and I'll be like, hold on, let me just play a couple rounds with like my music blasting. You guys can sit through 6 minutes. It's cool. And for the most part, everyone I know knows that and
Right.
are okay and aware of that. But I feel like being a woman in the community is a little hard in a sense, and it's not with growing and it's not with all
Right.
those things because obviously that comes with the territory. It's going to be hard and a little harder for certain people. Um, but like specifically the weirdos, because I've been having some issues with the weirdos
Hmm.
lately. Um, I usually just try and like have a one-on-one conversation and be like, "Hey, like this is what's happening and it's not cool. You need to chill out." And if it keeps going, then I have absolutely nothing against just blocking you. And I used to be like, "Okay, well, I don't want to block because I don't want to lose this
Right.
viewer." And even though I'm not averaging or hitting a certain amount of viewers that I would love to, I don't care because at the end of the day, for me, I want to feel comfortable and I'm sitting in my home and I'm playing a video game to however many
Right.
people, and you're making me uncomfortable through a game or through a chat box is not okay. And so I've totally come to terms with if it's not okay with you, then it needs to go. And I have no issue doing it. So I hope that other women have no issue doing it.
Hmm.
And if they do have an issue, you can come see me because I don't. Put me as a mod. I'll ban them straight away. I have no issue. But I think that just finding people who can help you grow not only as a creator but as a person and who sit and get to know you and who you are entirely, your morals, your flaws, so that they know the things that are your weakness and won't use it against you, but also know your strengths so that they know, like, hey, well, maybe she doesn't feel comfortable to get rid of this person. I have no issue. So let me, run it by them real quick. Hey, is this something you would like to do? Yeah, but I'm scared. Okay, well, I'm not. Bye. Like, find the people who are going to pick you up when you're down and who are going to
100%.
keep you up when you're up.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's kind of the other flip flop of that question I wanted to ask too is for networking, just like we were talking about. I mean, clearly, like you said, you usually have people that you're playing with. You kind of got into the community already with connections. So, I mean, how important would you say networking is? Regardless as just a creator in general.
Networking is really important, especially if you're streaming on, I would say, Twitch or Kick. But mainly Twitch. Twitch has 0 to no visibility. The only time you're going to find a creator is if you already follow one. And that will give you the recommended or the people that they watch. For me as of lately, even though I have, 100 so people that I follow, I will go into, the Valorant category and find somebody who has 1 to 5 viewers, chat it up, raid them. And I've met a lot of cool people just by either raiding them randomly and never really getting a hint at their content,
Right.
or just being bored and I'm at home and it's my off day and I'm like, I'm kind of tired of watching so and so. Let me see what else is out there. And I've made a lot of cool friends by just popping into a stream and being like, hey, you play Valorant too? Like, who's your favorite agent? And most of the creators are like, oh yeah, like, do you stream too? And it's not me trying to ever be like purposely pulling that question out of them,
Yeah.
but most people are genuinely curious to make connections as well. And they'll be like, well, you gave me a follow and I would love to see your streams sometimes.
Yeah.
And then it starts to feel like a mutual transaction and not like
Yeah.
anyone is forcing anything upon anyone else. So it's kind of like being subtle about it without ever having to actually do it.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I fully agree, and I think I feel like that's kind of it's. Figure out the best way to word this. I feel like as a viewer coming into Ellie's stream, and then after dropping a follow and all that, then you being like, oh, like, do you stream? Like, what? I feel like instantly they're like connected more with you, and they're like, okay, like this girl was cool. She's playing Valorant. It's a game I enjoy, but now she's actually asking about me. I mean, it's her stream. She's got other things going on. I mean, I could be nothing to her day at all, but now she's choosing. So I think it's just the little things in life that definitely make it more important. So I definitely think that's a good outlook. If you are a newer creator or somebody that's struggling to find people, take that step and just go and tap into some people instead of streaming 8 hours a day or not streaming at all. Use that time better, check into people, talk to them. You can even connect with us below, especially with Eliza. Her tag is below. Her links are going to be in her description. You can always go check her out. So before we end off here, is there anything that you have coming up that you're excited about or anything?
Nothing super serious. I don't have anything planned. I just I'm gonna bust out a bunch of streams. Friday through Monday.
Yeah.
My schedule's slowly getting smaller and smaller, but I don't stream Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, so we'll see.
Gotcha.
But yeah, just gonna keep streaming.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm definitely excited for it, and I really appreciate your time being able to share your story and your outlook and your take and advice on everything. Is there anything else you want to say before we end off here?
I want to say thank you, Feeds, because this is actually so much fun.
Of course, yeah. No, I mean, just like we talked about a little bit before, like I know that it's an opportunity to a lot of people, and I know that I built it, but without you guys, I mean, it wouldn't be a podcast. It would just be me talking to the camera, and that could go on for a while, but it'll end eventually. So yeah, but truly, you're an aspiring creator. I mean, you're absolutely amazing, and the impact that you make on your creators and the Valorant community is amazing. And I think one of my favorite things when a new viewer comes into your stream is talking about the Riot gun buddy that you have. They're like, how? Like, who is she? How does she have that? And it's insane. So it's amazing, the kind of creator that you became, and just us being friends in general, for so long. It's cool to still kind of be here today. So that's been episode number 14. Eliza's favorite number. Wait, why is that your favorite number? I forgot to ask that. Why is 14 your favorite number?
Oh no, it just is.
It just is.
It just is.
Okay, that's good enough. But yeah, this has been episode number 14 on Feeds Mindset. Appreciate you guys watching, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Drop a like. Go check out Elie below and all of her links and everything. And that's going to be that. My name is Feeds, and I'm out, guys.